It's the Two Gems Podcast.
How you doing, babe?
Oh my god, it's so obvious.
Blow the dust off these mics.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks. Or has it?
Yeah.
Did we?
We didn't record last
No,
week.
we didn't. We didn't do. We missed a week. Crazy. It's been hard to stay on top of sometimes. And here's the thing that you and I have wrestled with. You just gonna fidget with those pops? The thing that you and I have wrestled with is that in the beginning, we were like, let's go ham on this and get a whole bunch done in advance.
Right.
Which was good because we would never miss a week. We had like 2 or 3 in the chamber at all times. Mm-hmm. And then it was fine because if we didn't have time to record one week, we would just do it the next one.
Right.
And it was fine because we were always a couple in advance. But then the downside of that is you don't get any like relevant topics or anything.
Well, also hashtag life. Like we're just busy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even use that as an excuse. So I mean, we need to get back ahead of it again.
Okay, boss.
Oh, we do.
No, you're right. I agree with you. And it's a lot of work doing podcast stuff, especially on you, which we argue about more often than not because Matt took it upon himself to do all the editing and puts the episodes together. And if you don't know, after you record an episode, you then have to export it. Like there's all these other steps you have to do to get it on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And it's a lot of work.
It is.
And then from my end, I'm in charge of the marketing department, and we kind of put ourselves in a bit of a pickle because I have to come to you for you to help me make the graphics and export everything and stuff. So this is our biggest point of contention. We fight about it pretty often. We almost stop the show after every week, but here we are.
Yeah, we just need to get back ahead of it again.
I know.
Because you think, okay, so we record today,
Yeah.
so we're good for this week.
Right.
If we like came back tomorrow
Yeah.
or like in the next couple of days and did another one, then we'd be good for a couple weeks.
I know what you mean.
It's just, and then then it's not crunch time, and yeah, like for anyone that's listening right now, I mean, it is a lot of work because you sit down and you record it, and like let's say we've got the room set up pretty well, so it doesn't take too long to set the room up to go.
Right.
Like everything, like the cameras are basically permanently on tripods, the light just sits right there. Basically, we just have to flick the sign, put memory cards in. But there's all these little things like you have to make sure the memory cards are clear and that there's actually room to record on them. You have to make sure that the microphone has batteries that work in it. So then when we're done recording an episode, we pull all the memory cards out, go to a computer, then offload probably every episode's probably about 100 gigs of files, like 100 gigabytes to record an episode. So you have to unload all that stuff onto the computer. Mm-hmm. Then you have to drag it all into Premiere, edit the whole thing. And it's hard with 3 cameras, right? Because you have to cut and edit. So you and I have to go through it and be like, oh, that's a funny moment. Put the camera on me, right. Vice versa, that kind of thing. Then to export it probably takes about 2-ish hours to export the file. Then you have to write all the stuff, get it into YouTube. So when you drag and drop it into the YouTube software, it takes probably anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours to upload and render into YouTube for them to like put the 4K one in and everything.
Right.
And then we have to build all the graphics, do the write-up, get it into Buzzsprout so that it pushes out to Spotify to... Oh yeah, like it's a ton of work.
It is.
But I love doing it. I mean, I really
know.
enjoy doing it. I just hate when it's like the day of and we're recording and doing it all. It's crazy.
Also, granted, like we are very busy in our other careers, and right now for me, it's the busiest time in marketing in Q4, and it's coming in hot down the pipeline. That sounded so
coming in hot in
down the pipe. That's made me think of like steaming poop. Anyway. So it's a lot, but we love being here. And of course this part's fun. And then the after part, we just do it. Anyway, so relevant. We just had Halloween.
We've been slacking though, Sharon.
What do you mean?
Well, last week I think was the first time where we, like the only other time I think we missed a week was when we were in Ottawa at the cottage and the internet wouldn't work. Like we actually couldn't get it up.
We also missed a week when Pat passed away. We missed those 2.
Oh yeah, and then when Pat passed, we missed that week because it just didn't feel even appropriate to even be like. I didn't even
want to talk.
Yeah. But I feel like this week we didn't really have an excuse. It was just we were so busy and we dropped the ball, so we apologize.
Well, also though we took this.
Really sorry.
We took this last week to ask questions to people that watch and listen and kind of get constructive criticism, which I'm a big fan of. Some people don't do so well with constructive criticism. I love it because there's nothing wrong with it, and you can't go
You
anywhere
do?
but up. Yeah, if it's presented nicely.
Wow. Okay.
And they were all presented so nicely. There's a proper way to say things, right? And so everybody that was writing things in was suggesting things and like starting it off by saying like love it, but also da 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 da, right? Which is a great way to do things.
Yeah, I'm a master of that.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. Like the master of ceremonies when it comes to like giving. That was my thing. My old creative director always said that.
And do you do that with your wife?
I don't know. Do I not? Am I
don't
not
know.
good at criticizing our relationship?
Relationship or me as a human?
Just, I don't know. When we're like going through something, am I not good at like giving you constructive criticism?
Well, perhaps sometimes like immediately it can come in a little bit hot and then it settles and then you'll send me like a really nice message and we like circle back on it. Definitely. But I would say in your work, like you did say that your bosses used to tell you that you were very good at like, you know, giving people advice on something they should change in a nice way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
maybe take that into your relationship.
Well, it's a part of something it's a part of my everyday life.
Right.
Like, and I have to put my ass on the line every day. Like, I'll go away and spend like, let's say 2-3 weeks working on a project, and then I have to present it to a client, and it's like I have to have thick skin. And if I think that what the client is going to do is going to sabotage or compromise the integrity of the work that we're doing, I have to somehow push back on them in a way that's like, you like half the time you want to say no, like no, you don't get it, but you have to kind of be like, we'll never know as much as you do about your customers, but like in our expert opinion, we think that and like unfold and unveil like a reason and a rationale for everything that we do. So
this happens a lot in my work as well, actually, because there's a lot of times where I know my audience best and I know what will be the most engaging for them, but clients have certain expectations, and it's kind of like a little dance you have to do with one another to try and like reach a happy medium, because on their end they want and have certain expectations, and on my end I'm like, well, I know what I should be doing. Anyway, so
the thing about your work that I think is absolutely crazy is when you put together this beautiful piece and the client's like on like a Saturday afternoon at like 1:30 in the afternoon, they're like it must go up by 2:00 this Saturday. It's like are you kidding me? No one's on Instagram at 2:00 on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Like,
there's a lot of very strange deadlines, and I argue with that, and so does Caitlin, because we know what's going to do best. Like a Friday evening is not a good idea, but they have things on the other end where the client wants it up by the end of the week. So you just have to suck it up and make it work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it's an annoying thing though, because they are experts in their field. They're really good at creating awesome products and stuff. Mm-hmm. You are an expert in your field. If you're sitting there going Friday night, this is an awful idea. People are watching movies in downtown and stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to get 3 likes on this post.
Totally agree.
Don't put it up tonight. And then they're like, no, it must go up. It's like, oh, okay. Well.
And it can be a little bit discouraging, especially when you worked hard on a campaign and then you just have to, put it up and it's not performing well, which is too bad. And honestly, putting ads up in general is very stressful for me. I get a lot of anxiety about it, because as much as people know they're coming, I'm like, oh my God, here comes another ad. But it's like my line of work, And I think most of my followers definitely understand at this point.
I think you need to flip the script on how you think about your work, though. I really do. And I want to say I probably touched on this in that episode, like the work episode. Mm-hmm. But the stuff that you're putting out there, Sheridan, is organic and authentic to who you are.
No, I know.
So you need to stop thinking that you're like force feeding people stuff. You're giving recommendations on stuff that you enjoy and just happen to be receiving a monetary supplement on the other end.
No, absolutely. But even myself, if I'm scrolling through Instagram and I just see somebody continuously posting ads, even I find it frustrating. I'm like, where are you behind these ads? Post a couple of things that are organic as well, which also feels like work to me, which we've talked about before, because you have to find that happy medium for work and play, and to keep your followers around.
Yeah. Well, I think for you it feels more like work because you refuse to take stuff in the moment. You don't. It drives me crazy. It's my biggest pet peeve about your social media.
Can I just say this before I forget? It can be frustrating at times, and I've said this to you before, when you talk to me about my work. Because
I'm such a pro.
No, because Like, and I've said this to you so many times, like, I don't come into your work and be like, oh, well, this graphic and this, like, I don't do that because I don't understand it, right? Whereas you have a bigger and better understanding of what I do. So then you just think that you can like tell me what to do. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing, Matt. Like, I'm good at what I do. Leave me alone.
I know you. I know you are, Sharon. I know.
Thanks.
I know you're very good at it.
Yeah, so leave me be.
So Halloween. Was
yeah. So, okay. Halloween was a blast. We had a lot of fun. And so usually every year, Matt has been taking the kids trick-or-treating. I would say.
I think I do it every time.
This is the very first year that I did. And I don't know what made me want to do it, but I just said, I'll go. And so we went with the girls and Matt stayed back with the guys. And we brought all the kids. And they had so much fun this year because they're at the age now where they can do it. Like even ahead of time before we actually started like walking, we told them they could go do the cul-de-sac by themselves. And they thought that was just so fun, right? They could run along and do it themselves. But when I was up there and I was doing it, like I stayed out, like I stayed.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Like everyone else was like, we can go.
Wife?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, let's go. And Kaya was just like, yeah, I want to keep doing more houses. But I had a lot of fun. And when I was doing it, it reminded me to have fun with the kids. And I think that's why I stayed out for so long because otherwise I would have been, back, which would have been fun too. But it was just nice to do something and maybe even myself feel like a kid a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I was holding all the pillowcases. They were going up, showing me what they got. And it was just really nice to feel not so much like a mom, but just like a person having fun with some kids.
Yeah.
That sounds strange, but I lived in the moment, I guess you could say. And I had a great time. So did the kids.
You did.
Yeah.
I noticed this.
I did.
I was like super proud of you. I was like, look at Sheridan go. She's having
But
fun.
was I proud of myself? I was.
No, I was too. And I'm being completely serious. It sounds dumb, but I swear to God, I was over there like I was watching you walk up that street smiling with the kids in the wagon and everything. I was like, look at my wifey going over there having fun with the kids and trick or treating. It was like, it's so cute.
But it doesn't sound dumb because it's just the little things like that, right? It's like when they say, like when you'll say something like when we go to the beach and I'm in charge of getting everything ready and you just run into the water with the kids and have fun. It's like something like that where I should run into the water and have fun with the kids, right? But I'm so hyper-focused on doing mommy things that I have a hard time like transitioning over to the other side.
Yeah.
But I did it on Halloween and I was super proud of myself and I had a great time.
I love that you got that little subtle jab in there.
What?
Hey, how we go to the beach and you do everything and I just run into the water. Yeah, okay, Sharon. As if I'm not carrying the 200-pound cooler and lugging everything down.
Oh, I
Kids
missed
on
the
my
beach.
shoulders.
When's the summer coming?
It's like 9 months.
I know. So yeah, Halloween was a blast. We also have the Coke and Pepsi challenge here that Matt's so adamant about. So we're gonna do that again.
We have to do it every week for 4 more weeks. Oh,
Okay.
What's that little thing? There's a fly in the bottom of my glass.
Perfect. And then circling back on the constructive criticism, we'll go through some of the topics and what you guys suggested that we talk about.
And what is that?
I don't know. What is it?
I don't know. There's something. Look in the bottom of the glass.
I think it's on the outside.
No, it's definitely on the inside. I'm just gonna roll it. Whatever. I can't get it out. I can't reach.
Yeah, just roll that.
So here is how we're gonna know the different glasses. So last week I crushed it, did it. So one of the glasses has 2 gems written on it, and the other one's just gems. So be cognizant of that.
Got it. Thanks, tips.
No, but when we went to Dad's the other day for dinner,
Yeah.
because this is basically all about proving to my dad and my brother that I can do this because they don't think I can. So when I went to Dad's the other day, Dad was like, I noticed there was more pop in one glass, and I think you looked at the bottles.
Oh my!
And I'm like,
goodness.
dude, that's not what I did at all. I want to genuinely be able to do this because I think I can.
All right.
Okay, turn it around. Let's do it again.
Oh yeah.
Let's go through the motions.
Fast forwarding through this part. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking away.
You're looking away, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking away. Show the camera. Make sure we do this, Sharon.
Okay.
You'll be proud of me at the end of 5 weeks, Dad. You'll know I could do the message.
Okay, hold on. Well, so I have to make sure they're the same amount.
Oh,
It's
okay.
ridiculous.
I'm losing my fizz here.
No, just hold on a sec. Okay, that's equal enough anyway. Okay, go.
So you know what's what?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you show the camera?
Yes, they saw me pouring it.
Okay. I already know it's Pepsi. I already know it's Coke. Nope, it's Pepsi. No, it's Coke.
You were close. You
No,
almost
I
blew
just
it.
had to taste it.
You could tell.
Did I do it again, Sheridan?
Yeah.
2 for 2, Mike and Dad. 2 for 2.
They kind of smell the same today, actually. Strange.
Which one had the bug in the bong? Because I don't want to drink out of that. 2 for 2.
Bum, 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 bum.
Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy. A quick question,
Yes.
just off the cuff.
I'm so proud of myself over here.
You should be. What is your favorite breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Just don't even think about it. Tell me what you got.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, I'm on a big IHOPs kick.
IHOP.
I like saying hops.
There's
It's
no
my thing.
S. Okay, go ahead.
Just rolling with it. So I really like for breakfast, they have the Cinestax pancakes.
Yeah.
So they're pancakes that they've woven in like cinnamon into it.
Yeah.
And then they put cream cheese icing on it, so it's like you're eating a cinnamon bun.
Okay.
That's a banging breakfast for me right now.
Okay.
Might not be forever, but for now. For lunch, there's probably nothing I love more than a smash burger and like a Greek salad, maybe something like that, maybe a pasta salad, something like that.
Okay.
And for supper, I love brisket with mashed potatoes and a Caesar salad. It's gonna be my like ideal last dinner. How about
Okay.
you? I want to know yours.
You know what? We should have asked. I should have answered for you. You know what I mean? Like I should have asked you what you think.
Okay,
mine is.
let me answer for you then.
Okay.
Your ideal breakfast is you've got a couple of them. It's either going to be like a bowl of mini wheats, or it could be like the bowl of like granola with the yogurt and the strawberries and stuff.
You think that's my favorite breakfast, or do you
Well,
think
you love it at home. Okay, if you're going out, you're going to get a classic breakfast. You're going to get your eggs over easy with a freaking
over easy?
2 pieces of white toast.
I have never got over easy eggs at a restaurant.
You get them every time at A&W. You ask for that
well,
every single time.
That's just at A&W. I can't ask them for poached eggs.
You could ask them for poached. They'll poach them.
You think?
They ask you how you want your eggs done. You say over easy every time.
Man,
because you low-key love
breakfast
it.
is
So that's your
underrated.
thing, classic. You want 2 pieces of bacon. You want a side of tomato. You want a side of beans. You want,
Did you say bacon?
No, I said sausage.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Okay, then your ideal lunch. I don't know. You're like a
Oh,
weird.
so many
You're like a
types.
weirdo with lunch now. I don't even know what you even like.
Don't call me a weirdo. I
You've
could go either
changed.
way. I could go like soup and grilled cheese.
Oh my god, I never would have said that.
Really?
That's your lunch?
I love soup and grilled cheese for lunch. With a side dill pickle and some chips.
If Daphne's listening, she's like, I'm way more team Matt. Smash burgers, baby.
And then for dinner, well, I have a couple ways I could go with that too. Like tacos, always 100%. Speaking of tacos, did you know that yesterday, or when I was at the mall, when was that? Monday.
Monday, yeah.
I tried Taco Bell for the very first time in my life.
How many poops did you have?
None.
Where's there a Taco Bell?
It's right attached to the KFC down in the food court.
They have a Taco Bell there now?
It's always been there.
Okay, when we're wrapped up today, I'm going to the mall to work and having lunch. I'm not even kidding you.
No, but can you believe that me, a taco lover, like a taco connoisseur, I just said that would be my dinner choice, has never had Taco Bell?
Did you like it?
Loved it.
You did like it.
And do you know what?
A lot of people hate on it.
Wow. I said to Kamiko, I was like, why have I never had it? And then I'm reminded of in my childhood, everyone would tell me I was going to poop my pants.
Yeah.
So I think I was always nervous that if I had it, I would immediately have the runs. But yesterday, or on Monday, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm having Taco Bell. And it was friggin' delicious.
Was it? Did it fill you up? Was it enough food?
Well, I had 4. Like the little meal, absolutely no. 2 tacos and a side of fries? I don't think so.
Remember the little chihuahua in the
Yo
ads?
quiero Taco Bell. I just pictured it perfectly.
You should have seen your face when you did that. That was amazing.
What Taco Bell is fantastic. They do a good job with their branding anyway.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
They do a good job with their branding. What made you say that?
Yo,
You're speaking my speak
my little
now.
doggy, the little dog. I remember it. Like there's certain taglines you remember, and although they're annoying with certain brands, you don't forget. Like 425-6666. What is that? I don't know. Is that the taxi number? If I called it would be something.
That's Casino Taxi.
Yeah, right?
Or 429-6666.
It's Matt's high-pitched
Jingles are so underrated. There's something about that repetitive sound that bakes its way into your like your core, and you never forget it.
It's true.
Yeah.
The 2 Gems.
3, 10, 30, 30, Greco.
Oh, wow. Any other ones you can just think of off the cuff?
Oh, well, even like, remember like the don't you put it in your mouth? Like the old one about like not eating things that you don't know what they are and shit. They just like sticks to you. Like that was something that I saw for the first time when I was like 5, and I'll never forget it.
Okay, the only song I know with "Don't You Put It in Your Mouth" is extremely inappropriate. You've heard that version, right? I was like, what are you talking about? It's disgusting.
But I can picture sounds and stuff. Like O'Regan's has a sound. There's like a sound in the ads online and stuff. And like, I don't know. See, sometimes I'm like, I wish this podcast is so catered to your people. Obviously. Yeah, I get it. Obviously.
Have
but
your
like,
own spin-off.
Man, I saw have your own the One Gem podcast. Who would come over and listen to my chats about entrepreneurship and branding?
Well, that sounds cool. We can talk about that if you want.
Sometimes it makes me sad. We never talk about my stuff.
Do you know what
I'm like a branding expert. I build brands for a living. All day, every day, I like sit there and I like think about colors and typefaces and things and websites and cool photos and videos. And it's like all I do all day, every day. And I never get to talk about it on here.
Well,
I make shit look awesome.
If you want next episode, we can focus on that again. And I think too, like that is a very
no one cares.
No, but they do, and that's a very specific thing to talk about. So I think you need to like tell people you're talking about it. You know what I mean? For them to be like, oh, I want to listen to somebody talking about their branding.
Yeah,
that's cool. And I might find it fascinating to hear all about it because I always see you like doing things with your fingers and like putting things together, and I just watch. But I would be curious to know more about it.
Think about how long I've been doing it for.
A very long time.
It's been 21 years now. Like I started doing it when I was 16 years old, like professionally. 16.
Do you ever get nervous that you think that it's coming to an end or that you're going to be washed up and there's going to be new things that are going to come?
I think it's something that I need to be mindful of, but I feel like me and who I am, I'm such a tech person that I think I stay on top of trends. So I'm not really like too worried about, but it's definitely something that like, if you get too comfortable and stop learning and stop like seeing what's out there for new trends and stuff, oh yeah, you'll be washed up in no time.
Like I imagine it's just as much research finding out what's going on and what other people are doing as it is actually working on what you want to work on. Right?
And I think like there's a bigger thing to it that like anyone could apply to their own life, but sometimes I think you get in your own way. It's like me with TikTok. Like I refuse to make a TikTok, but it's like, Matthew, you need to make a TikTok at some point. It's what everyone's doing. And it's like if I continue with that mentality of like refusing to like hop on trends and stuff like that, then like in my line of work it can like completely make me irrelevant in what I do.
TikTok, I think, there's reasons why people don't go on TikTok though. People are wild out there.
Yeah.
It's a wild, wild west on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's a scary place. People are mean. Like even I'm like, I try to like step my foot in the door and I'm like, nope. Like I'll just browse sometimes because I have an account with nothing on it. And I read the comments. I'm like, man, people are wild.
But it's, do you know what I mean though about how like we get in our own way with stuff? Like if you go on my Instagram, everyone go check out hero_ATV on Instagram. But if you go on my Instagram, look how good it looks. It looks so good.
Yeah, it does.
But I already know this page would grow 1,000,000 times quicker if I just put shitty ass reels up. They don't need to look good. They don't need to be anything. I see people on here that have, oh my God. I see people on here that are just throwing stuff up. That's just in a reel form with some music over it. It's absolute trash, but it gets like...
It's not trash.
It gets like there's no... Like I look at it as like an art form. Like I love like telling a story through photos and stuff, but now the algorithms just crush that now. It's all about just copycatting people and remixing songs and shit and putting stuff up. And there's no like... I find it's kind of like losing its originality. And like in the line of work that I'm in, have to turn a blind eye to my feelings sometimes and just get on board with shit that I don't agree with because the algorithms will eradicate you if you don't. It's annoying.
I agree. And the reel actually that has done the best for me over the last while, I think it has like 215,000 views, is the one with horrible lighting down at the dock and But on the flip side, I think there's something kind of cool to the fact that it's not so much a photography app now for people that are able to grow their account in different ways that maybe aren't as creative or don't take as nice photos, but still have something to say, right?
Yep.
But for somebody like you and me that really like taking nice photos and pride ourselves on having like a nice looking page and stuff like that, it can definitely be deflating where you're like, oh, you take this beautiful picture and nobody sees it because the internet doesn't care. Like Instagram doesn't care at all, right?
But the thing is people do care. It's just the algorithm. They want to chase TikTok.
Right.
So they're modifying the algorithm to only promote reels.
Actually, speaking of reels, let me tell you just a little trick that I found out the other day. When you're going to choose your music, if you're scrolling through people's reels and you see down at the bottom, it will tell you what song it is. If you see an arrow that's going up, that means it's trending. And if it's just a music note, it's not. So pick the ones that have the arrow because...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you see that little thing there.
And so the one down by the dock had an arrow. And then the reel that I did about me wearing an outfit, and that one had an arrow, and I can see it's getting more views because it's trending.
Yeah.
So although it's frustrating, like that's kind of cool too. I don't know. Instagram is such a strange place for me now, I feel sometimes.
Well, yeah, but we can get off this because I don't want to spend a whole episode talking about it, but I the thing that I find annoying is people aren't necessarily doing things that give them personal satisfaction or make them proud about something. They're just literally just hopping on a trend rather than like using it as like an outlet for their own creativity.
Yeah.
We're letting an app kind of steer our ship, and But in the same breath, it creates a whole new sandbox to play in. Like you have to go out there and actually, it's like these are the new rules that we have to deal with now. So deal with it and make great content given the new environment that we have created for you to work with it.
You know what, too? And we can jump off this in a sec. But oh shit, what was I gonna say? Damn it! I lost it. I lost my train of thought, which happens very frequently with my ADD brain. So apologies for that. Actually, somebody asked me to talk about my struggles with ADD and we'll say OCD in the house and stuff like that, and if it affects our marriage. And I guess I could ask you that. That would be things, for example, here's a perfect example. So I leave the house and I have a ton of work to do when I come home. I walk in the house and there's things out of place. Things are messy. Things need to be done. And you come up to me as I'm cleaning and you'll say, Sheridan, get your work done. Like, what are you doing? Emptying the dishwasher. Like, you have work to do, right? And this has happened a couple of times, to which then I say to you, I literally cannot sit down and focus on my work until this is completely done. Until my brain is like, okay, that's taken care of. Now you can focus on your work.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. Even in the mornings, I get up, I make every child's bed. I make the house look perfect before they leave. When they're gone down to the bus, I clean the whole house before the day starts. Like, these are things that I do all of the time, 24/7. There's the jokes about us in the bedroom. Like last night there was clothes on the floor. Theo had taken off his clothes before he fell asleep. And like, I walked in and saw those on the floor, and I was immediately irked. And it's not your fault that there's a couple things on the floor, but I was like, he couldn't fucking pick up the clothes? Like, that's where my brain goes.
That actually went through your head. You were pinning that on me.
Well, I just get mad that nobody picked it up. And then I'm like, but it's not anybody's fault. I just have to pick this up and put it away before bedtime. I have to, or else I can't sleep. And so it's exhausting.
Can I talk for a sec?
Yep. So I wanted to know how you feel about it. And if it affects you and your life and our marriage, you know? Because I think it is, I would say I think it's gotten worse as I've become a mother because I need to be in control, I think. And I think it's one thing I can control. There's other things to it as well, but I think back on me when we first moved in together to the Spice buildings. And like, our apartment looked nice, but like, you wouldn't think back and be like, Sheridan was...
Well, there was probably less to do then because it wasn't 3 humans messing everything up.
Yeah, but you wouldn't see me going by and fixing a cup and making sure that it looks perfectly. You know what I mean? You remember that from back then?
Sort of, yeah. I think you were kind of always that way that I remember. But I think, you know, looking at it from a bird's eye view in the bigger situation, I think it can be really detrimental to the successful relationship if you don't acknowledge the small things that your partner does. So, like... for you to sit there and say that I left clothes on the floor yesterday of Theo's and that I didn't pick them up, I think I was doing a million other things. And when you had the kids at their activity there last night in the city, like I got home with Sage and the house was a mess. Like there was stuff everywhere. So I started preparing dinner and then went around and cleaned the whole downstairs. I put all the pillows away, the blanket back on the thing. I put the toys away. I put the whatever you call them, little like ottoman stool things. I put those, like rearranged those, put everything away that was on the table, prepared dinner, had all the plates ready to go when you got home, and then you still found a way to not eat supper with me. And it drives me crazy. Like there was nothing left for you to do, but you will always find something to do. So like last night, all I wanted to do was have a family dinner. I just wanted to sit down with all of us and actually eat the amazing plate of food that I made. I had your knife, fork ready to go, cheese on your dinner, all ready to go. And you still didn't eat with me until I was already like halfway done my supper. It drives me crazy. But you'll always find some little thing that's out of place instead of like acknowledging the fact of everything that I just did. I went to the grocery store, brought everything home, put all the food away, made supper, cleaned everything on this floor in the house, and still you found a way to find something to do other than eat with me.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
And then in my brain, I'm like, I can't sit and eat and enjoy it until, and then again, so it's nobody's fault, I don't think. It's just trying to figure out how to work through that, I guess. And again, absolutely, I should be thinking, wow, that was so nice that, well, not so nice, but Matt did what he was supposed to do. We went and got his groceries and put everything away, like awesome. But even this morning when I looked down at where the kids' snacks were, I thought to myself, those snacks don't belong there. They belong in the pantry. And it bothered me, but it's not your fault. You just didn't know that they go in the pantry. And that's kind of...
What snack didn't belong down there?
The Oreo cookies, they go up in the pantry.
Okay, I wasn't sure about the Oreos. I put them there, but I wasn't sure. That was the one thing I was like, is this out of place?
But all that to say, that's very much a me problem. Even Kaya, like she asked me this morning if... she wanted, or what did she do? Kaya's really trying to help now, which is really kind. Like I was telling her, because I obviously have that fucking buttload of laundry upstairs. She's like, I'll help you with the laundry later. And I find all the time, I'm like, I'll just do it because it's easier, right? It's easier for me to do it because I know how to do it. So I just end up doing it because I'm like, let me do it. I have my certain way of doing it and this is the right way. And I need to stop doing that. And I need to delegate tasks and to accept help whenever I can, because if not, there's so much on me for me to do. And it's not your fault. It's completely mine. Like I will take onus of that and be like, that's a Sheridan problem for sure. Because even when you came to help with laundry a couple weeks ago, remember, you sat down and started doing it. And I was like, what is happening? And most people might be like, wow, my husband's sitting down and like sorting laundry. This is amazing. My initial reaction walking in is, okay, is he going to do the piles right here? Or do I have to come and step in and just do it my way? Right? Isn't that weird?
I'm curious how many mums are like this.
I imagine a lot.
Because I see some of the comments that come in the inbox and stuff like that when you share them with me, and like some of the things that people say where it's like, it almost kind of seems like there's a stigma, and it probably is mostly true, that like women carry this load of so many things that men aren't even aware of. But is it actually something where men will attempt to do it, but you won't let us? Like that whole laundry thing. It was like I tried to go in there and do the laundry, and you're like, I'll just do it. It would be easier if I just did it. And it's like, I'm in here trying to help because I see you could use a hand.
I imagine every circumstance is different. There's probably men that don't help at all. And there's probably, every family dynamic is different. But the invisible load of motherhood is heavy. And I just simply don't think that it's something that a man can relate to because we're moms. As much as you try, no matter how hard you try, it's just different. I think we always have a million things going on inside of our brains, and men are much, they can disconnect from it easier, I think, maybe. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see if I'm the only one like that. Well, I'm not the only one, or if a lot of other moms kind of do the same thing and they just end up doing it because it's easier and they know how to do it. And, it's kind of just the routine they have established in their family and stuff. And then they end up being resentful because they're the ones doing it all, right?
Yeah.
Rather than, throwing out the line and saying, like, help me, please.
Well, and humans are such creatures of habit, too.
Right.
Like, you get in a rhythm with something, and then, like, I find oftentimes, even with my work or anything, it's like, it's just easier if I do it. If I just do it, it's easier. Like, I feel that all the time, but then, I will say that the times that I do open my arms and ask for help, oh my God, it's so much better having help. Like when I was lugging all that wood around in the backyard there a few weeks ago, and Digger was here and Connor was here and stuff, I would have normally just been like, nah, I'll move it all, don't worry about it. You guys enjoy your night here. I was like, could use a hand. It'd be awesome if you guys could help me lift this stuff. And I asked Antoine too, and the boys helped me all move that wood around. It took like a tenth of the time that would have taken if I did it by myself, and it was awesome.
I think sometimes humans are afraid, well, not sometimes, are afraid to ask for help because it just seems you don't want to put that on somebody else. But you're right. Like you would have moved that wood all by yourself, but you just asked for help. And most people want to help people. And you know what I mean? They do.
Most people do want to help people. They just need to know what you need help with.
Right. They need direction.
I don't know. Maybe this is a little something for all the moms out there.
Well,
ask for help.
It's a good point too. Like even think of when you work somewhere and somebody comes in as a new trainee and you're like, I have to train someone. Like it seems like so much work, right? And those couple of days are kind of annoying because you're helping them learn everything when you could just be doing it so much faster. Yeah. Then next thing you know, you have a new employee that knows how to work there and you're like, wow, this is a delight having the extra hand.
This helps. Yeah.
Right. It's so funny. Yeah. It's an interesting thing anyway.
Sure. By any chance in your notes that you're about to look at right now, do you have people's feedback on our show there?
The whole feedback or just what?
Yeah, there was like all those little like tidbits and notes and stuff people sent in. Is that...
There was two different questions. There's two different things. One of them asked for feedback, and the other one said, "Are there any topics that you'd like us to discuss?" The main feedback thing, there was a couple things. The ones that stick out in my head are you and Matt interrupt each other all the time, and it can be hard to come up to follow the flow sometimes. We agree with that 100%. I think we try harder to let the person close their mouth before we speak. So we're working on that, and I do agree with you. Number two, there was a lot of conversation.
I wanted to say something so bad. I find the show flows way better if there's a little bit of interrupting. And not even so much interrupting, but like sometimes you'll finish what you're saying. And if I'm over here with my mouth shut, I can literally see you like, okay, I'm going to reach for my phone or like check my notes for the next topic when actually I have something to say. And now there's like this awkward little like half-second thing where it's like, is Matt going to say something or not? Where like sometimes if I kind of like jump in with my thought that I have ready to go, it just flows way better. So I don't know, it's like a balancing act. We kind of have to like, there's like a little bit of a rhythm that happens. And then I often find too with our show that the second half is always better than the first.
Always.
Because the first half we're kind of like, Halloween, and then all of a sudden the real like meaty things come up that we've been wanting to talk about, but you can't bring that up like, hey, welcome to the Two Gems Podcast. Sheridan, what's your favorite sexual position? It's like you have to kind of like come in with the other stuff
Doggy
first. Doggy style.
But that makes a lot of sense,
Classic.
Matt, because people don't go to an event or like a restaurant dinner or something and they sit down and they're like, exactly what you just said. Like you have the small talk a little bit to get into it and get into the rhythm. And you're right, it is kind of sucky because the best part comes in the second half. But I mean, the people that are sticking around definitely hear it either way.
No, but so what I was getting at though is the mild interruptions. Interruption might not be the right word. It could just be, I don't know. Maybe it is just a blatant interruption. But sometimes I feel like when we do that to each other, like the conversation's better because if you're taking the time to cut me off, you've got a banger of a line ready to go. Like,
you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you know me well enough to know that though, because that's the way we usually have conversations is we cut each other off all the time to get our points across. But I could see how it could get a little bit confusing.
We love you guys.
Yeah. And then something else somebody said, a couple people said, was talking about controversial things and how...
Let me talk controversial.
No, and how it seems like I hold back, how you want to say more, all these sorts of things. However, and they're like...
Let's go there, Sheridan. Let's do it.
Oh, no, we're not.
Oh, look, you won't do it.
Let me get my point across, sir.
Kanye West. She won't let me talk well in this episode.
Matthew.
But the people need to hear.
Some people did say as well that we do a good job of being respectful, talking about controversial things, which is the most important, in my opinion. As somebody that is online all the time, I always see people doing drastic points of views in their stories, one or the other.
Yeah.
If you want, we're not going to talk about Kanye West, but if you want to, in the stories, one person's saying worst person alive, another person saying give him a chance, mental illness. Like there's so many opinions.
Oh my God, Sheridan Ingalls.
So at
Smith.
So at times, all I'm saying is I don't want to insult anybody or hurt anybody because that's who I am.
Sheridan.
But let me just get my finish my point. I don't even remember my point. Thanks a lot.
No, you have a point.
Well,
controversial
no,
subjects.
But what I was gonna say is you also have to tread lightly because my entire career
I get that.
is online. And to be honest, yours is as well.
I know.
And the whole internet is because if you were to say something out of control, people would go, oh, where does this guy work? That's media. And then they would just bury you into the ground.
But I think you way overthink it. You way overthink this, Sheridan. Are you a bad person? Have you ever said some smack that would get you canceled? No, it's not who you are. When you talk about things behind closed doors, you're very graceful in how you handle it. And I might be a little more blunt about stuff, but I still don't think that my points of view are that controversial. Do I think Kanye West should be absolutely canceled and lose $1 billion in his entire life's work? We're going to strip this man of his life's work? Like, I don't think the man should lose everything. Do I think he deserves a slap on the wrist and should shut up and get some mental health and an assessment right now? He should. He's going through a lot right now.
Well,
he's getting the help he needs. He has been. He's been diagnosed as bipolar. We know this. Like, if I was bipolar, just imagine what would come out of my mouth. The guy needs help. Should he be stripped of everything he's ever worked for in his life? And then the other thing about it is, like, at what point in time do you separate an artist or a person from their personal feelings and their body of professional work? I also find that very interesting. You don't want me to talk about it because you think I'm going to offend people, but it's like, sure, people like hearing about this stuff. Not everyone's going to agree. That's life, and that's what's beautiful about life. 80% of the people are probably going to go, he should be stripped of it, because that might be your audience and who they are. That's not how I feel, and that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to have different feelings on things. Mm-hmm. This show would be way more fire if we could just talk mildly about some of the stuff going on in the world. When Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, would you have talked about it?
No.
Really?
No. Because
you wouldn't let me talk about the slap heard around the world?
Well, okay, listen.
It's the greatest thing that happened in the last year.
The greatest thing.
That was
See, the way you say things is so dumb sometimes.
No, but it was just an incredible pop culture moment. Like,
can I say what I'd like to say?
I don't mean incredible as in I'm glad he did it. I mean, like, holy shit, what an event in time, and we're just going to sit over here and not talk about it? Like,
can I say what I'd like to say?
Talk about it, sure.
Okay. What I want to say is about the Kanye West thing, because... again, in my stories, I'm seeing both polar opposites about what people think and what people believe should be happening to him. My, not argument, you're like, sure.
No, I love you. I'm excited to hear your point of this with a microphone in your face.
Here's where I'm unsure where people draw the line, because a great example is Chris Brown. He beat Rihanna up, and I was quite young at that time. I was a teenager, I remember.
Beat the shit out of her.
Can you just relax?
Sorry.
Thank you. There was photo evidence. It happened. And people are still listening to Chris Brown. Yep. And I find that unbelievable. Like, I hear him on the radio and I'm like, what? Like, that to me, I'm like, I don't understand how one is okay and the other isn't. Like, that was my own personal opinion where I'm like, how are we still going to let this guy, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me.
But you still listen to Chris Brown?
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. No, I do not.
Okay, maybe you don't reach for a Chris Brown song all the time, but when a Chris Brown track comes on in the truck, you don't skip it?
One of my favorite albums of his, I forget what it's called, but I loved every single song. And even a couple months ago, I was like, man, I'd like to listen to that song. I was like, no, I'm not fucking listening to that song. Really? I get nothing out of listening to him now. I just hear him and I'm like, yeah, you're a woman beater.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't want to listen to you. Why are you so relevant? So I think I'm just like, how do people choose? Like, that's weird to me. Who gets to be, continue and move on, and who gets, left in the dust? I find that crazy. Sorry. I was also going to say that, young interruption.
Keep going.
Mental illness is very serious. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned it before in the podcast episode, and I said I find it absolutely insane that somebody can go to the hospital and get treated for a broken leg, but they cannot get treated for something going on in their brain, and that it's free for all. It really bothers me. I mean, maybe there's a lack thereof, all these resources for people, but it's just crazy to me that can be, something that you can visually see will get taken care of, but something that's going on in here might fall to the wayside. I find that unfair. I recently dealt with somebody that definitely had something going on one evening, and I've never really been a part of something like that before, and I don't really want to give out too much information, but I was that night I was given definitely a front row seat to what mental illness can do and how unbelievably sad it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel for people that have mental illness. I really, 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 really do. And Kanye West is so famous and so known around the world and everything that it's extra put on him because everybody knows about him and knows what he's doing. And of course he's been on social media and all this stuff. And he said some really mean, crazy things that really hurt people. And they're like, at what point do we just say like, okay, like enough is enough, go and get some mental help and, work through your issues. Do I think, if you really want to know my opinion, do I think that Adidas dropped Kanye West because of the things that he was saying? Not necessarily. I think that they were losing money and that they did it for that reason. My own personal opinion, because Kanye has been saying things for quite a while now, and Yeezys or whatever were still being sold, right?
A lot.
Right. So why didn't you do it back then, right? Like, what now? Because everybody's forcing you to do it? Like, I don't know. But anyway, the whole cancel culture thing is, I don't know.
Wow. Sheridan comes into the episode.
Well, I didn't really say anything crazy, though. I just said I just think it's unbelievable that somebody can beat somebody up and then somebody else can do something. And I just find that's, to me, is like, what?
Sharon, your point of view on stuff is never going to be cancelable because that's not who you are as a person. Like you keep things very kosher. You see eye to eye with a lot of people. You're a very understanding, compassionate person. So you're not going to come out and be like and say something that people are going to destroy you for.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my job.
I think I've learned over time that not everybody's going to agree with you and not everybody's going to like you. And that's okay. If somebody just heard what I said and they're like, that's not it, Sheridan, that's fine. That's not what upsets me, because I've learned as I've gotten older that not everybody's going to like you, for sure. I just don't want to say anything that's just outrageously incorrect. Although, if I were to say something, I have no problem being told and learning, right? I'm a lifelong learner, as they say in the teaching world.
That's awesome. And you should be. Lifelong learners.
Yes.
That's the best way to look at life. Mm-hmm. Because if you walk around like you're a know-it-all, you actually know nothing. Right. The smartest people in the world are well aware of how much they don't know.
Yes. Yeah. And want to be a lifelong learner because you're forever learning.
Yeah.
And willing to learn, right?
So the Kanye thing for me, I'm trying to think of how to word this, but he has been such an inspiration to me in life, in my professional career. And I think that that's why I hold him in such high regard. I could write like a whole thesis on why Kanye West as an artist is so great. Like he's a creator, right? He's a creative director. Like his job is to rally hundreds of people together to create beautiful bodies of work. Like when he puts on his shows, they're the craziest events you'll ever see. Like everything from how he rolled out the Donda album with the 3 different shows and how it went from just him with the red coat in a white room to eventually him doing the whole show around the mattress on the floor. It was there's a deeper meaning to everything that he does. Everything. I think it's incredible that as an artist, he's found a way to put 10 albums out and all 10 sound different without really many radio hits. Like if you actually look at the songs that he has that are on a radio, what is it? Like Gold Digger, and is there anything else? There was not one hit off Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It made it on the radio. There wasn't on Donda.
Flashing Lights.
There
Is that
wasn't.
on the radio?
There wasn't on Yeezus. There wasn't on Jesus is King. Like if you actually look at it, like this man's body of work, he has catered to his fans in a way that is authentic to who he is as a person. Like he dropped a gospel album, and I played the gospel album. It was like no matter what he did, and people say like, "Wow, you hold him in such regard." Like, what's the man walk on water? But it's just a really interesting thing because like as a creator, like I find myself, like I said, I'm in my 22nd year of doing this professionally, and it gets to the point every day where it's like, how many times can I reinvent myself in front of the same audience? But this man continues doing it. It's like right when everyone's like, oh, okay, like Graduation, such a great album. Like, what's he at next? His mom passes away and he drops 808s and Heartbreaks and sings for 18 songs on an album. It's like singing with a vocoder in front of his face. Like it was just, he never sits still. He's always striving to create something. It's like just when the man reached the apex of everything, then he drops a shoe line and changes the entire fashion game. Like he went over to I think it was at Louis Vuitton. He went over there and did an internship unpaid at Louis Vuitton just so he could learn about fashion. Like who does that when you're already worth hundreds of millions of dollars? So for me,
is there a butt coming in here?
No, so for me, it's this really interesting thing where we've gotten to this place in society where you can disregard every great thing a person has done over a few circumstances. Like, so like, I don't even know how old he is. What is he? Let's just say 44 years old, something like that. So we're going to look at like a man whose life was 40 amazing years of helping people and creating awesome work and inspiring so many young artists to reach for the stars and everything. And then like he gets on a microphone and says some shit, then, and we're just going to strip him of all of his accolades.
But those are really bad things to say.
I know, but at the same time, like, I don't want to make excuses for someone, but he has an extreme mental illness. Like, people that are bipolar, like, they need help. And so it's one of those things.
So you're
that,
not saying what he's saying's okay.
I'm not agreeing with anything that he's saying on a microphone right now whatsoever. All I'm saying is, like, at what point do you separate a person's art form from their day-to-day routine? Like, we're all, and I'm not going to get too into it, but like, we're all still listening to Michael Jackson. Should Mike drop that? I mean, like, we're all still listening to him.
I don't.
Oh my God, Michael Jackson's the GOAT.
But
it's MJ. He inspired everything ever.
But there's so many strange things that he did. Again, here's the thing. I don't want this podcast to be about this. This does nothing for me.
No, nor will it. I'm just saying, Sharon, you can't avoid pop culture topics forever. Like, at some point, you have to talk about things that are going on.
But why? No, you don't. There's billions of podcasts out there that are talking about relationships, parenting. You, just in your own little spin-off, want to talk about your pop culture stuff.
No. It's not like every day I want to come in and go like, what's going on in CNN these days? No, I'm just saying, like, Kanye West was to me, probably my biggest inspiration as a creative. I look up to him in so many ways.
Well, with that being said, that granted, you could also be being more lenient on him than others are that care nothing about this man and have never listened to a day of his work, right? You're all, what's the word I'm looking for? You're,
rose-colored glasses?
Yes, because you've loved him forever. You know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. It's like somebody that's in a relationship, that's in an abusive relationship, and they love this person so much. And they're willing to keep letting things go and go and go because they can't see the other side. Whereas somebody that comes in that knows nothing about this relationship and just sees it from an outsider perspective is like, what are you doing? Right? So you probably have some rose-colored glasses as well, hon. Like, if you didn't know who this man was and all of a sudden you heard, you'd be like, what?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah. For sure. If I didn't have that
connection to him.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I also, if I'm being honest here, have been a huge Kanye West forever. My brother loved him, so of course I loved him because I was a little sister, and I listened to all of his albums. When we went to Greece, all I listened to was which one was out then? Jesus on repeat because we were sailing, so we didn't have any signal or anything. I downloaded. It's all I listened to for like a week straight. So musically,
So are you going to stop listening to Kanye West?
Well, I don't know.
What?
At the moment, I don't listen to anything. I listen to Kai and Theo songs in the van. It's not a point. It's not a problem. But anyway, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. But be curious to hear everybody else's opinions because we like opinions, right? We like hearing other people's points of views, don't we?
So.
Are we still talking about it, Matt?
No.
Good.
I'm just gonna say.
Let's move on.
No, but like, Sharon, like, did I say anything that you think is going to offend people? Right there.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I think with every topic, you need to tread lightly. That's all. And I think you need to be aware of everybody's opinions.
Oh my God.
That's just me.
Yes,
That's me.
Obviously.
That's the type of human I am.
I'm a grown man,
like
and anyone that carries himself
life.
with integrity would understand that without being told that. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, Sharon.
Right.
I think, and that's the same type of mentality that Kanye should be applying to his life. He has a massive voice, and he needs to be more mature and aware of what the impact that his words have on millions and millions of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he was if he had like 5 friends and was a nobody and saying those things, it wouldn't carry the same weight that it does being Kanye West getting on a microphone and talking about Jewish people like that.
I also think that mental illness has taken an extreme nosedive since COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, I don't know if the world just seems so much sadder now. I don't know. But again, when I was dealing with this thing a week ago, the cop was letting someone know that now they receive phone calls at least 10 times a day about somebody that's wanting to hurt themselves, or they have to go and see if they're okay. Mm-hmm. And they're not trained in that department at all. Like, they're trained a little bit, but like that's not their expertise. And that they say it's just been a huge, there's just been so much more of it happening since COVID. And I completely agree with that. I think back to pre-COVID and I'm like, life just seemed so much happier. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
And now it's just like everything is just so heavy all the time.
Well, I think too is, on our side of the world, my dad made a really funny comment the other day that I never really thought of, but you know how Trump was going around with those "Make America Great Again," the MAGA hats to "Make America Great Again." My dad was just venting, and he's like, "How much greater can it get over here?" Like, and it's so true. Like, our lives, we've been living such amazing lives for so long over here. When, like, if you just like take an airplane and scoot to the other side of the world and put it in perspective, like, our life still is so amazing. Like, the fact that we have 3 hot meals a day, clean tap water, warm showers, insulated homes, roof on our head, like,
You know what, though? But, sorry, I'm going to interject here because you're right. I will lose my point. I also don't think that I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and she was just saying how she's having a really hard time right now financially, as many people are. Mm-hmm. Many people are. And, she wasn't sure how she was going to make a payment for something and this and that. And then she said she felt guilty for feeling that way when there's so many other people that have it worse than she did. And I said, don't feel that way. You are allowed to also feel your own feelings. Yeah. And it really bothers me when people are like, well, there's also this happening, because yes, there is, absolutely. But you're still allowed to feel how you want to feel.
When I say that, I don't mean it in a condescending way.
I know.
I more so just mean like, it can humble you sometimes and just remind, I think all of us, we need to just reflect on where we are. Because like, I think the times are going to get way harder ahead. And I think you're absolutely right about the COVID thing. I think that it has this trickle-down effect where all of us as parents that are dealing with rising interest rates and inflation and stuff, it weighs so heavily on our souls. And now you're going to start having these people out there that end up having to pick up another job to try and to try and compensate
pay
for that.
Groceries, for God's sake.
Yeah, and then what's going to happen is that's going to have a trickle-down effect onto their children, because they're going to have less present parents because they're too busy out trying to work now to hustle to pay for their shoes and pay for their food and stuff like that, and their winter clothes and everything. And like, it's it's super heavy. And I think that the mental illness thing is a really interesting conversation, because it is something where as humans we're so prone to only deal with things that are like physically obvious to us. Like, you could be battling a mental illness over there and you won't put it in check. You won't go and get help. But if you cut yourself with a knife cooking dinner tonight, you'll either call an ambulance or run to the hospital and get it dealt with right away. You'll do it right away. If Theodore falls and bangs his head or something and he's acting weird, we'll immediately go get his head assessed. But that like when you deal with that mental illness side of things and people are like struggling, battling something, it's so much harder to put a finger on exactly what it is, and you're much more liable to kind of push it to the wayside, when in actuality, if your brain isn't right and you're not feeling okay inside your head, it will ruin everything else about you. Everything. It's the most important thing, is feeling okay inside, I think.
Absolutely. Preaching to the choir. I could not agree with you more. And it's heavy. Like, I think that's my appointment's not till tomorrow, right? For my van. It's tomorrow, Thursday. Yes. Yeah. Okay. They're just reminding me, I bet. Depression runs in my family. I think I mentioned that before. And I've been aware of it my whole life, and I've known to pay attention to it. And I think as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that it's definitely in me, and to pay attention to those things. And there's times where, the sun is shining and everybody's happy and life is normal, and I just want to crawl into bed, right? Yeah. And that would be a perfect example of how everything else is ruined if you have something going on up there. I also think that mental illness is talked about much more openly now, which is fantastic, because back in the day you wouldn't talk about it at all. And now we have conversations, we have the Let's Talk, we have all of these, everybody's aware of people and their mental illness. People talk about their depression, about what they take, what therapists they see, which is great. Great. Do you agree with me? Okay. But yeah, I don't know. We all have a story, right? Like, one of my favorite expressions is we all have a story that could break your heart. And it's true. Every single person has a story that could break your heart. If I go into, we haven't really divulged like your past and when you were a child and stuff, but it'll break your heart. You talk about me and my family, and I've actually asked my dad if I could have permission, because, I don't talk about my family a whole lot on here, but if I could have permission to talk about, the depression and alcoholism that he went through. And he said, absolutely, talk about whatever you want to talk about. So I would like to talk about that at some point. If it's right now the time, I don't know, but... No, it's not right now. Yeah, okay.
Well, we're already over an hour into this episode. We're at an hour and 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I kind of flew by.
Sorry.
But I think, I think people are oftentimes a product of their environment. And I don't always mean that in the past tense. Like, I think sometimes in the present moment, people need to be more mindful of the things that they consume. And I don't just mean like what kind of food that you put in your body, but even like the type of content that we consume on a day-to-day basis. And when we're so liable these days to be inundated with depressing bullshit constantly, that it's such a slippery slope. Like, every single person I know has one of these in their hands. And if I'm seeing it, they're seeing it. They're going to go online, go on Twitter, go on anything. And there really isn't that much good news, because shitty stuff sells. We know that. Bad news gets clicks. So all these media companies around the world, all they want to do is feed you bad news, because they know you're going to click it, and then inside those articles are advertising dollars just flowing through it with every one of those little things that's targeted for you to see. So why would you sit there and spread good gospel when you know that if you go the other way, you're gonna sell more stuff? So every time we pick our phone up, there's just sad stuff all the time, and we just need to be mindful of it. Like, and we all do it. I'm so bad for it. And so now it's gotten to the point, oftentimes where, you know how I'm such a radio listener? I listen to 95.7 like all the time. If I'm driving, it's 95.7. I like hearing the news and hearing what's going on. It's got to the point now where I'm back listening to my music. I can't do it. I'll put the news on and then I'm like, ugh, and then I'll go back and listen to my music because it's just like, there's just shit just poisoning my mind. It spreads like a cancer. It's so depressing all the time. And then if you get away from it and create some distance, it's going to be good for your mental health, for everybody.
I agree. And I even remember thinking back to when I was a child and I would walk in on my parents watching the news and I would sit for like 3 minutes and I'd look at the TV and I'm like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
Be like, so-and-so here, murder here, this here, homelessness. And I'm like, you enjoy this? Like, you just want to hear about what's so sad?
Yeah.
And I remember I'd walk away because I'm like, this is really sad. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
And then as you age, and you're an adult, you kind of want to know what's going on in the world, obviously, because you don't want to, be in your own little bubble all the time too. But you make a great point. And I think that we are on our phones a lot. And I mean, who am I to say I'm on my phone all day? That's what I do for a living, is go on my phone. But I think stepping away from it when you can and just friggin' leave your phone. Leave it at home. Like if you're going to go grocery shopping or something, leave your phone. What an interesting world.
The thing is too, in like a closing note, I think, is that placebo effect is a real thing. So like, I'm not going to sit here and disregard people that have chemical imbalances. We know people like that, where there's just something that's just tweaked a little bit inside of them, which will create a lifelong journey of depression. But I think that we're starting to see now a lot of like circumstantial depression, where people are being depressed by COVID and being locked in their homes and looking at the interest rates on their mortgage and stuff. That's just like, it's so depressing. And I think that, we have to kind of trick ourselves sometimes. And there's a really cool story about in World War II, they ran out of pain medication. So they had all these soldiers lined up on these beds that had like bullet wounds in their legs and stuff. And they were all cooped up on these beds and stuff, and they ran out of pain meds. So what they did, they started giving them calcium pills instead of Tylenol. So these were nothing. They were just literally pills that would do absolutely nothing to them. But those soldiers thought they were taking pain medication, and all of them were just saying, yeah, the pain's getting better, it's going away, because they were tricked into thinking that they were taking pain meds. And like, the brain and the mind is a super powerful thing that we all need to do a better job of taking care of the things that we touch it with and surround it with it all the time. So just be mindful of the shit that we're consuming day in, day out. Because these big corporations, man, this would be my version of the podcast. But these big corporations, like, they love this stuff. They love it because the ad dollars are just going through the roof. Yeah. So just be mindful of it. You are like to them, you're like a product. Like, they're literally just selling you this crap, and you're just eating it up. And we all do it. And I just think we just need to be more careful and spread good news and be good neighbors and help people when you see them that need help. And then, like, every time, when you're driving,
it's a domino effect, right?
It is. Yeah. And like, every time you're driving down the road and like someone like lets you in or something like that, and like you just get that little like like, it's such a small thing. That's like, there's like a good person, or like someone that like holds the door for you, and they're like, yeah, no problem, man. Like, just like nice, just simple, nice things. And then all of a sudden, it's just like this little reminder of like, there's love out there. I'm gonna push that forward myself. And then the more people that do it, it just, it's like a snowball effect. But what is it?
That would be it.
There's a word for it. It's
That's right. It's definitely a snowball effect.
It's not the word I was looking for. It's anyway. Regardless,
you're really hoping to
spread the love, people. Spread the love.
Okay, love you guys then.
Yeah.
Speaking on love.
I'm going to run to the mall and get some Taco Bell.
It's the Two
Love you.
Gems Podcast.
See ya.